Bonjour Year 11 and welcome to another of our revision videos. Today we're focusing on the 90-word task for the writing exam. So that's the crossover question for the foundation and the higher. Alors, on révise les verbes 4G et on pratique une rédaction 90 mots. So we're revising the 4J's verbs and we're practicing a GCSE 90-word task. So let's start by looking at the 4J's verbs. We know that to secure a grade 4, which is a pass grade at GCSE, we need to use all three time frames. That's the past, the present and the future. And we need to include opinions with justifications or reasons. And one easy way to include the three time frames is to use the 4J's, the strategy we've been looking at in class a lot. So we've got four verbs, the 4J's verbs. J'aime, I like. J'ai décidé de, I decided to. Je vais, I am going. Je voudrais, I would like. All of which are followed by an infinitive. Remember, an infinitive is the whole form of the verb that we find in the dictionary. It translates verbs like to, so to eat, to visit, to go, to do. So for example, j'aime jouer would be I like to play or I like playing. J'ai décidé d'aller, I decided to go. Je vais manger, I'm going to eat. Je voudrais étudier, I would like to study. So we know that these 4J's verbs give us access to the three time frames and opinions. J'aime, we use for opinions. J'ai décidé de for the past. Je vais and je voudrais for the future. So let's have a go at putting some of those 4J's verbs together with some infinitives and activities. So on screen we've got a very short sentence builder with the 4J's in the blue box. Then we have got some infinitives starting with aller and ending with étudier. And we've got some activities next to each infinitive. So how would you say in English, je voudrais étudier à l'université? Je voudrais étudier à l'université. Well, that would be I would like to study at university. Here's another one. J'aime jouer au foot avec mes amis. J'aime jouer au foot avec mes amis. I like playing football with my friends. Here's another. J'ai décidé de visiter les monuments à Londres. J'ai décidé de visiter les monuments à Londres. I decided to visit the monuments in London. Dans le futur, je vais habiter en France. Dans le futur, je vais habiter en France. In the future, I'm going to live in France. And one final one. Demain, je voudrais aller au cinéma avec mes amis. Demain, je voudrais aller au cinéma avec mes amis. Tomorrow, I would like to go to the cinema with my friends. Okay, I'm going to show you some examples now of some sentences that use 4J's verbs, and I've highlighted some parts to point out to you to show how you can take quite a simple sentence and make it more sophisticated. So we know that for the 90-word task, we're expected to write about 90 words over the 4 bullet points, so about 25 words per bullet point. We know that the 4 bullet points are going to require us to write in the past, the present, the future, and also to give an opinion. So here's an example answer which uses an opinion. J'aime manger à Pizza Express car c'est vraiment délicieux. Cependant, je n'aime pas manger à Pretzel parce que c'est trop cher. So here we've used the 4J's j'aime, I like, and we've got the infinitive manger afterwards. And then we've linked to that a justification. So we've given an opinion, now we're giving the justification. Car c'est vraiment délicieux. Now it's not just délicieux, delicious, it's vraiment délicieux. So we've used an intensifier there to give more intensity, more depth to that adjective. Then we've followed it with something negative. Cependant, however, cependant, je n'aime pas manger, so I don't like eating, pretzel parce que c'est trop cher. You'll notice I've used an alternative to car, I've used parce que, and I've used another intensifier, trop. trop cher, too expensive. So this sentence has gone from quite a simple sentence, where you might just say, I like to eat at Pizza Express because it's delicious, to a more interesting and sophisticated one simply by putting in connectives, car, parce que, by putting, and cependant, and also putting in reasons, délicieux, cher, and alongside those reasons we've got the intensifiers vraiment and trop. Okay, here comes another example. Dans le futur, je voudrais me marier parce que je suis romantique. Pourtant, je pense que ce sera très cher et difficile à organiser. Je ne voudrais pas avoir d'enfant. So here we can see from the first three words we're talking in the future time frame, dans le futur, or you could use the alternative à l'avenir. We've used the 4J je voudrais, I would like, and the infinitive afterwards is in the reflexive verb me marier. Je voudrais me marier, I would like to get married. Now I've highlighted three parts here. First of all, we go from saying we would like to get married into an alternative. So we've got pourtant, which is another way of saying however, cependant. Pourtant, cependant, both mean however. Pourtant, je pense que ce sera très cher. So however, I think it will be very expensive. Et difficile à organiser, and difficult to organize. The last thing I've pointed out here is je ne voudrais pas, I would not like. So we've used the 4J je voudrais, and here we're now using it in the negative, je ne voudrais pas. Je ne voudrais pas avoir d'enfants. I would not like to have children. Just going back to the middle highlighted phrase, we've got ce sera, it will be. So we're giving an opinion, a justification in the future. We're not using si, it is, because we're talking about a future plan. So we're using ce sera, it will be. And if we were talking in the past, we could use c'était, it was. Okay, here comes our third example now. And we can tell by the first word, hier, that we're talking in the past time frame. Hier, j'ai décidé de faire mes devoirs pendant la pause déjeuner. Aussi, j'ai décidé de manger dans la cantine. Malheureusement, c'était dégoûtant. So we've chosen j'ai décidé de because that's a suitable 4J to use when we're talking in the past. J'ai décidé de faire mes devoirs. I decided to do my homework. Then we've added something else in, aussi. Also, aussi, j'ai décidé de manger dans la cantine. Now I've highlighted the last sentence because it's got a nice connective and it's also got a reason in the past. Malheureusement, unfortunately. Remember that's got 15 letters in it. Malheureusement, unfortunately. Malheureusement, c'était dégoûtant. It was disgusting. C'était, it was, dégoûtant, disgusting. So we've got a connective and then a reason in the past time frame. And not just a reason like rubbish or boring. We've got a more unusual adjective, dégoûtant. And finally, our last example here. Again, we can tell by the first two words that we are in the future time frame. Samedi prochain, next Saturday. Samedi prochain, je vais aller en Italie en vacances. Je pense que ce sera époustouflant. Ayant dit cela, le voyage est long. En Italie, je ne vais pas visiter les monuments car c'est barbant. So, I've used je vais, I am going, as my future 4J's verb, and I've followed it with the infinitive aller. Je vais aller en Italie. I'm going to go to Italy. Je pense que, I think that, so we've got a clear opinion phrase there. Ce sera, it will be. And not just a simple reason, like amusant, fantastique, we've got époustouflant, amazing, époustouflant. Je pense que ce sera époustouflant. Then we've got a really nice connective afterwards. Ayant dit cela, having said that, ayant dit cela. Le voyage est long, the travel, the journey is long. En Italie, je ne vais pas visiter les monuments car c'est barbant. So we've used je vais, now in the negative, je ne vais pas. And again, remember, 4J's verbs are followed by an infinitive, so we've got it followed here by visiter. Je ne vais pas visiter les monuments, car c'est barbant. Now, a few people struggle with the spelling of ennuyeux. So as an alternative, I would suggest you use barbant, 2 syllables, nice and easy to spell, barbant, meaning boring, or an alternative to ennuyeux. So here we've got a 4Js in the positive, je vais. We've got a 4Js in the negative, je ne vais pas. We've got reasons, ce sera époustouflant, and c'est barbant. And we've got a nice connective there, ayons dit cela. Okay, so just a bit of recap there, that our 90-word task, the overlap crossover question for foundation and higher writing, requires us to use the 3 time frames, present, past and future, and also to give an opinion. Now this slide that you can see on screen now is quite nice because it sums up some key words, phrases that you could use in those different categories to help you. Obviously in today's video we're focusing on the 4Js verbs to help us. Now just a reminder here about the mark scheme for the 90-word task, and this is the same at both foundation and higher, so it's marked out of 16, 10 for content and 6 for quality of language. And you'll notice that for the top mark of 9 to 10, for content you need to make sure that you cover all aspects of the task, so all 4 bullet points, that you give a lot of information, and that your opinions are expressed. So I would suggest an opinion and a reason for every bullet point. For the quality of language, you'll notice it says references to 3 time frames. Now they don't have to be all correct, because following that it says which are largely successful. So there can be some errors, but it needs to be very clear that you are talking in the 3 different time frames. If you use your 4Js verbs, that's going to be a very simple thing to do. Now the 90-word task is out of 16 marks. The foundation writing exam is out of 50 marks in total. So this is about a third of the marks, and therefore you need to spend about a third of the time on it. So you need to be spending about 20-25 minutes on this 90-word task. At a higher level, 16 marks out of a possible 60. So you need to be spending probably about 20 minutes again on that at higher level, because it's a slightly longer exam. So on screen now I have taken some 90-word tasks from the theme 3, current and future study and employment area. And 1 to 12 we have got the bullet points that you might see on a 90-word task in the exam, and A to L we've got the English equivalents. Now remember, when you see them in the exam, they might use the words votre and vos, meaning your. We're not going to write an answer using those. We're going to change votre to mon or ma, and we're going to change vos to mes. So moving from your to my. Okay, so we're going to have a look at these now. You may wish to pause the video for a few minutes and see if you can match up 1 to 12 with A to L. Okay, so number 1 says vos matières scolaires. Now even if you don't know what matières are, you've got the word scolaire, it's plural, so we're looking for something to do with school, and it's your school subjects. Number 2, votre opinion du collège, nice and easy there, got the word opinion, so your opinion of school. Number 3, une journée typique au collège. Now remember, some people forget that journée means day, not a journey, so your typical day at school. Number 4, vos activités hier au collège. Hier is a key word for us, meaning yesterday. So if we were using a 4J, we would probably go for j'ai décidé de, and it means your activities yesterday at school. Number 5, votre professeur préféré. We know that professeur is teacher, préféré is favourite, so your favourite teacher. Number 6, les bâtiments au collège. Now, bâtiment is quite a common word in the exams, but one that students often forget. Bâtiment means buildings, so the buildings at school or the school buildings. Number 7, une visite scolaire récente. Now we should be able to work that out looking at visite, a visit, and récente, a recent. So recent school trip or visit. Number 8, vos études après les examens. Now, if you don't know what étude is, you could maybe work that bullet point out by looking at après les examens, after the exams, or you may have made the link between vos études, your studies, and étudier, the infinitive to study. So it's your studies after the exams. Number 9, votre métier idéal. Now, métier looks very similar to matière in number 1, but a métier is a job, travail, profession. Votre métier idéal is your ideal job. Number 10, votre petit boulot. Petit, we know, is small, so it's a small job. Boulot is a travail, so it's your part-time job. Number 11, votre stage. Now, you may or may not have done a stage. A stage is a placement in work, so a work experience. And number 12, vos devoirs. Devoir, we know, is your homework. Okay, so let's look at a 90-word task. So here we've got at the top, vous décrivez votre collège pour votre blog. So you're describing your school for your blog. So it sets the scene there, and then we have 4 bullet points underneath that. So we've got the key strategies on the right-hand side of the screen, and that is what we should follow whenever we get our 90-word task. So we spend a few minutes annotating it and starting to plan what we're going to write, just like you would with an English essay. So first of all, we annotate the bullet points. So the first one says, les aspects positifs et négatifs de votre collège. So we know that we're looking for the pros and the cons, the positives and the negatives of school. So that's a good opportunity there to use the 4J's verb j'aime. Then we've got l'uniforme scolaire, and we can work out that that means your school uniform. So again, you could use j'aime there, whether you like it and why, and maybe what you don't like about it and why. The third bullet point, we'll notice, has the keyword hier in it. Vos activités hier au collège. Your activities yesterday at school. Now it's worth remembering that every 90-word task has 1 bullet point that refers to the past. It's usually the third one in the list, but it might be a different number, so don't always rely on it being the third one. But here you need to look for keywords like hier, récemment, dernier. So yesterday, recently, and last. So we know here that we're talking about our activities yesterday at school, and in terms of a 4J's verb, the right one to use would be j'ai décidé de. Now, of course, if you're confident at using the past tense, j'ai mangé, j'ai fait, je suis allé, j'ai visité, j'ai joué, you should absolutely use those verbs. But if you're not confident with that perfect or that past tense, then use j'ai décidé de plus an infinitive. And finally, our 4th bullet point says vos projets pour après les examens. Your plans, not projects, your plans for after the exams. So here we're talking in the future, and usually the 4th bullet point is referring to the future time frame, so that's where you could use je vais or je voudrais. Okay, so we have annotated the bullet points, and in doing so we've identified the past and future bullet points. Now when we write our own answer, we need to make sure that we write with 4 separate bullet points too, because that signals really clearly to the examiner, who's someone who's marking hundreds of exams and has never seen your handwriting before, that you have answered the 4 bullet points. We need to make sure we use our 4Js, and we do that quite easily because we've already annotated the bullet points and worked out where we're going to use the 4Js verbs. Number 5 says we justify our ideas, so making sure that we always give reasons. So try to give a reason or an opinion in each bullet point. When you've answered each bullet point, tick it off. So use that like a checklist of what you have completed. And finally, try to allocate yourself 2 or 3 minutes at the end to proofread carefully and make sure you've got in everything you need. Be really, really careful if you're using the 4J's verbs to make sure that they have an infinitive after them. Okay, now that's the end of today's video. If you wish to complete that 90-word task and submit it to your teacher for marking and for feedback, then please do so. If you would just like to annotate it and go through the process of doing that like you would in the exam, again, your teacher would be more than happy to have a look at it. I hope that's been useful, Year 11. Au revoir.